And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Well, we're joined by the aforementioned Charlie Fisher. Charlie has been involved with Sculpture Space right since the beginning, yes?
Right, since probably mid-70s. I came back to Utica, went away to school, came back, and was going to the Munson Williams Proctor in evenings and making sculpture after I worked for my father during the day at night.
You know, I want to get into some of the history of Sculpture Space, and it goes back to Utica Steam
Engine and Boiler Works.
And Boiler Works.
Right.
And I want to talk about that a little bit. Your family's business, right?
Right.
We'll talk about that in a bit. But the charity art auction is September 29th. This is the big deal for a Sculpture Space. If you don't have a successful art auction, you're not going to have a successful year.
That's right. Yeah, it's very important. In the past, we've raised $50,000-$60,000. It's a key thing for us, and it really is helps us fund our artists that come, that we invite to come, that we select, and it helps with the facility. Yeah, very important.
The facility is on a street that probably most people haven't heard of. That's Gate Street, correct?
Great, Gate Street, yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering where Gate Street got its name. There was a General Gates in the Revolutionary War. I wonder if that is so named for him. I'll have to find out. But where Gate Street is really right behind Boilermaker Park and the brewery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that where the art auction is going to be?
Yes, it's in the studio, in the Sculpture Space studio, and normally the artists are working there, but the studio is made ready for this, and it's cool, very neat.
For those who have never been to an art auction at the Sculpture Space, you have a silent auction, you have a live auction, correct?
Yes. Yeah, there's a silent auction, and you can even bid if you're not there. You can bid by phone, and then we have, and what's being auctioned are not just chairs, but
it started off as
yeah.
Didn't it start off that way, Charlie?
Yeah, it started off as a, back probably in the early 80s, started off as how can we raise money? And artists making chairs, and artists, that was a big, turned into, surprisingly, a great way for us to raise money.
Mm-hmm. And then it expanded.
And then over the years, I think the organization became better at and brought in other forms of art, and as we went on and over the years, we had more stable of artists that had been here, and some artists donated their work. Some actually very fine pieces of art were donated, and then also artists made chairs. Yeah.
Will this be all modern art, modern sculpture? Will it be a variety of stuff?
Yeah, I think there's a variety, not necessarily modern, although that you have artists that are making stuff today, so if you want to call that modern, but also they're landscape paintings. There's a whole variety. So if you're looking to put some life in your house, a great place to come and see it.
And this starts at what, 4:30 in the afternoon, something like that?
Yes, 4:30 in the afternoon, and I believe the auction starts at 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And do you need to sign up in advance, or you just go down there? How does that all going to work, Charlie?
You can sign up in advance, and you would get a discount on your ticket. And then you can go down the day, buy a ticket as you come in the door, and of course there's drinks, and it's a pretty neat event. A lot of energy, a lot of people there. It's a very fun event.
And it all got started with your family, and you ran. What did they do down at Utica Steam Engine and Boiler Works?
The business had been around since the 1830s. That was way before my family got into it. But back in the 1860s, 1850s, they were making steam engines that you would take out on site and operate things like sawmills. And then once the steam thing ended, which was probably around the turn of the last century, then they got into different things. You know, they got into making boilers, all kinds of constructions. There was a foundry, a machine shop, a plate shop, and a pattern shop. And so my family got involved with it probably in the 20s. During World War II, they made Bailey bridges.
And for those not familiar with Bailey bridges, those were the little temporary emergency kind of bridges that they would throw up to cross a river, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the buildings that were constructed around the area where the structural steel was done at Utica Steam Engine. A lot of the big mills and all the big mills were serviced by the company. You know.
And it made really for an excellent place to put a sculpture shop. Who recognized that? How did that all come about?
Well, as I say, I got into welding, and I would build sculpture at night. I knew John von Bergen from Munson Williams. He immediately picked up on it, and he would come down and he set up a studio in the place that Sculpture Space is there. There had been a shop that we were building truck bodies. That project ended, and the building was vacant. And so my father said, well, hey, rented him some space. It was right across from the boiler shop. So we would go in, we'd use a lot of the machinery at night. Word, you know, one thing leads to another. Once artists found out about it, they were coming from all over. We had a lot of artists came down from Vermont, from New York. You know, the word spread, and so that was really how it started, you know.
And it's kind of tough for a sculptor. I mean, a painter can take their easel and paints and set up anywhere, but somebody, a sculptor like yourself, not so easy. You need some equipment. You need some heavy-duty stuff, yes?
Well, that was really the turn on, because there was the knowledge and the equipment to build things, and it was right in the age of you know, back in the early 70s and late 60s, you had people like David Smith, which were really popularizing steel sculpture. And so at that time, there was a real energy about it. And it was really the way that it started. You know, after that, once we evolved into other materials. But steel was really the thing that got it going, yeah, because of the plate shop.
And today, though, I was down there just the other day looking around. The executive director was kind enough to give me a little tour, and all kinds of materials are being used down there today. Yes.
Yeah, and that was a big evolution. You know, I know under Sylvia DeSwan became the first director, and she opened it up to other materials. I mean, now everything, there's all kinds of equipment in there, all kinds of things.
I was kind of taken because I'm familiar a little bit with Nirvana Water from up Boonville Way, Forestport Way, and when I was down there the other day, there's a sculpture that's made of plastic, the plastic that they make the bottles. Am I getting that right, Charlie?
Yeah, I think they make their own bottles at Nirvana. So an artist who came to Sculpture Space became aware of it and went, and he noticed that the defective bottles that came out, he basically found a use for them and built sculpture. Which, you know, one thing I might say, one of the real draws, not only was it the plate shop at Utica Steam, but it was Empire Recycling and Nathan Steel. Nathan had a scrapyard. They opened their gates to a lot of these sculptors, let them go down and roam, and so I think the idea that a lot of the sculptors were welcomed by these businesses, you know.
Empire Recycling has been a supporter, I know, for Sculpture Space for a lot of years. And this year, if I'm not mistaken, Bank of Utica is sponsoring your art auction, yes?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
And give everybody the time, the date, and the place if they want to participate in this charity art auction.
It is the, let's see.
The 29th.
29th, thank you very much.
I know that because it's my birthday.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
great, excellent. Come on down and we'll
Okay.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 29th at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And we really welcome anyone to come down and bid on some art.
And it's a nice time if somebody's been interested to see what goes down at Sculpture Space. The 29th might not be a bad way to do it.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely.
Good. Thanks for coming
All
in.
right, thank you, Joe.
When we come back, we're going to be talking to the studio manager, George Hendrickson, and he'll tell us all about things from the artist's point of view. Short break, right back.